Mabika to introduce the front table, but before we do that, I would like to then know who else is in the room. So if we could start from the right side of the room. The gentleman that has the mic, if you can introduce yourself, and then we pass the mic on. Your name, your organization, and your role. Thank you.
Good morning to you all. My name is Edmo Manyao. I'm from New Zealand News Agency.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carlton Makon from New Zealand News Agency.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gertrude Matsika from the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vambe Shingrai with the Post on Sunday newspaper.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shikomborero Machirori from Sly Media TV.
Morning, I'm Judge Gabriel from the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Acting Provincial Development Officer, Manicaland Province.
Morning, everyone. I'm Pride Marimo, Minister of Industry and Commerce.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Kwasera Vincent is my name. MND intern from the Ministry of Women Affairs.
Morning, everyone. My name is Mapile Ngwale from Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprise Development, and I'm in intern.
Morning, my name is Privilege Kumbodit. I'm from the Newsday Report.
Good morning. My name is Bilal Chadaroba from the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community and SME Development.
Good morning. My name is Mamvrama Bika from the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Morning. My name is Tingani Lomo. I'm Provincial Development Officer for Bulawayo Province for the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises.
Morning. My name is Marjorie Sikondla, Provincial Development Officer for the Ministry of Women Affairs under Max South Province. Thank you.
Mudzingwa Trust is my name, Deputy Director Economic Development, Harare Metropolitan Province, Office of the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, I'm Ruziwe Zenorashe from the Ministry of Women Affairs, Midlands Province. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michael Onyabanga. I am a manager in the Compliance and Contributions Division of NASA.
Morning, everyone. I'm Isaiah Sango from Praz. I'm M&E Manager.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Master Mshonga. I'm the lead consultant for the development of the monitoring framework for the SME sector in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Advocate Banda. I'm from Ministry of Women Affairs representing HR department.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mupinga Joseph, Minister of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Provincial Development Officer, Masvingo Province. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kanelo Nyati. I'm a systems developer with the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority.
Morning. I am Zamana Mnyarazi, Minister of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises, BDO, Mashonaland West Province.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cosmas Chikwawawa. I am from the National Social Security Authority, NASA.
Morning, everyone. I'm Rangarai Banda from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Letrin Nyampinga. I'm a business analyst at Smedco. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Big Boy Majandu from Small and Medium Development Corporation. I'm the head of risk and compliance. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shongtone Mtunzi Stole. I'm from the city of Bulawayo in the town planning department, officer responsible for the informal economy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Munyaradzi Shepherd Chawarura. I'm the Director of Finance and Administration in the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vincent Chadeumbe. I'm a principal examiner in the Department of Deeds, Companies and Intellectual Property.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elvis Chifumbu from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Economic Research Division. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bothwell Mushanduri from Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprise Development, North Province. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christine Namabika. I'm from City of Mutare.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nyemba Sonile from Zimbabwe National Statistics. I'm a statistician.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lorraine Sivanda. I'm from the Zimbabwe Chamber of Informal Economy Associations, as well as StreetNet International.
Good morning. My name is Kamoe Vimbai. I'm the editor of the Business Connect newspaper.
Morning, Kambi Zaben Dadma is my name. I'm from City of Guero. I'm the Acting Director, Housing and Community Services.
Okay, thank you. The ones who have just come in, we'll ask you to introduce yourselves later. I would like at this moment to call upon Mr. Mamvura Mabika, the Acting Director, SMEs and Cooperative Development, to introduce our high table.
Thank you, the Director of Ceremonies. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our high table this morning. Starting from my immediate left, we have the United Nations Resident Coordinator for Zimbabwe, Ms. Edward Kalon. Welcome, sir. Next to him, we have Mrs. Mashangwa, Director in the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprise Development, representing the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Mike. Welcome, ma'am. We're on the far left, we have the Chief National Strategies and Capacity Building Branch, Division for Sustainable Development Goals, UNDESA, Mr. Amson Sbanda. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Back to you, sir.
Thank you. At this point, we'd then like to invite Mrs. Mashangwa to make some remarks on behalf of the Permanent Secretary.
Thank you very much, the Director of Ceremonies. And as already alluded to, I'm standing in for the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Mr. M. Mike, who was unable to come here today to be with us because of other pressing engagements. He really wanted to be here in person, but all the same. He really appreciates the processes that are taking place and all the support being rendered to the ministry. And at this juncture, I'll present his speech. The Director of Ceremonies, the UN Resident Coordinator for Zimbabwe, Mr. Edward Callon, the Chief National Strategies and Capacity Building Branch Division for Sustainable Development Goals, UNTESA, Mr. Amson Sbanda, senior government officials, the consultant developing the micro, small, and medium enterprises monitoring framework, Dr. Master Mshonga, representatives from the UN country office, representatives of micro, small, and medium enterprises associations, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to make these remarks at the launch of the 2 projects on strengthening national capacities for enhancing micro, small, and medium enterprises resilience and building forward better to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 agenda in developing countries participating in the Belt and Road Initiative and strengthening resilience of micro, small, and medium enterprises in Africa and Asia. I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to the Division for Sustainable Development Goals, United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs for accepting our proposals to support micro, small, and medium enterprises in Zimbabwe, which culminated in the 2 projects. The support to the sector through these projects has come at an opportune time when government is implementing the National Development Strategy 1, which is aimed at achieving an upper middle income economy by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, our government takes cognizance of the crucial role played by the micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country's socio-economic development. The sector contributes to GDP, provides employment, livelihoods, and facilitates industrialization of rural areas, thereby reducing regional imbalances and assuring more equitable distribution of wealth. The micro and small medium enterprises also play a huge role in the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Despite the huge contributions made by the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, they face various challenges such as low productivity and competitiveness due to use of antiquated technologies and aging equipment, high labor costs, high costs of utilities and interrupted supplies, high costs of doing business, limited access and high costs of finance, weak managerial, technical, and entrepreneurial capacities. Many SMEs have weak corporate governance systems and no succession planning, which is required for a sustainable business operation. The challenges faced by the micro, small, and medium enterprises have compounded by global shocks such as the COVID-19 pandemic, which negatively affected many SME businesses. The government, together with other support institutions, has put in place various measures to help in the recovery of the sector from the devastating effects of the pandemic. However, more support is required to meet the huge demands of the micro, small, and medium enterprises, given the magnitude of the shock. The 2 projects supported by UNTESA have come at an opportune time as they are aimed at enhancing national capacities to strengthen the resilience of the micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as strengthening the enterprises themselves to respond to the shocks. A number of interventions are lined up as detailed in the work plan, aimed to make an impact at firm level, as well as capacitating institutions that support the micro, small, and medium enterprises development. I'm pleased to note that the project is commenced with the achievement of one of the milestones, the development of the micro, small, and medium enterprises monitoring framework. The monitoring framework will help in tracking developments in the sector. This is particularly critical in tracking developments in the sections as reports will be availed at specific outcomes, thereby measuring the impact of supportive interventions on the development of the sector in Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a huge struggle to get data and information timely, making it difficult to report or account for some of the work being done by the government and various stakeholders. It is my hope that the framework that is being developed will go a long way in alleviating this challenge. It is envisaged that the framework will help in timely tracking and capturing outputs, outcomes, and impacts in critical areas of the micro, small, and medium enterprise development, such as the size of the sector, levels of formalization, contribution to employment, fiscal revenue, access to finance, and many other aspects. The government, including various stakeholders, need to ventilate the sector and gather evidence which will inform programming and formulation of policy frameworks. Therefore, the ministry has high expectations on the delivery of this assignment, which will enable the availing of appropriate information for the development of the sector. Let me once again take this opportunity to thank the Division for Sustainable Development Goals under UNDESA for the support. I would like to thank the UN Resident Coordinator, Mr. Edward Callon, for taking his time off his busy schedule to attend this launch of this project. Your attendance is testimony of your great commitment to the development of our country. I would also like to express my appreciation to the various stakeholders for your input towards the development of the micro, small, and medium enterprises monitoring framework over the last 2 days, as well as your attendance at this launch of the project today. Your presence, ladies and gentlemen, at these workshops shows your unwavering resolve to the development of the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector in our country. With these few remarks, I wish you fruitful engagements. I thank you.
Thank you, Director Mashangwa, for those remarks. I would like at this point to invite the resident coordinator to give us a few remarks.
The Permanent Secretary, Mr. Moses Mike, ably represented here by Mrs. Vida Mashungura, Director of let me make sure I get it, Strategic Policy Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation section of the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community and Small and Medium Size Enterprise Development. Senior government officials that are present here today, members of the UN family, UNDESA, UNDP, UNIDO, ILO, esteemed delegates and presenters, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm pleased to join you today at the national launch of the project Strengthening National Capacity for Enhancing Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Resilience, and Building Forward better to accelerate implementation of the 2030 Agenda in Zimbabwe. As most of you are aware, it's only 8 years to go, so time is not on our side. And I think it is very, very timely that these initiatives are being taken on. As most of you are aware in this room today, MSMEs are dynamic engines of economic growth, innovation, and employment creation. According to the data provided by the International Council for Small Business, formal and informal MSME contribute for almost 90% of business, on average, 70% of total employment, and 50% of gross domestic product worldwide. In Zimbabwe, the MSME sector accounts for more than 76% of all employment. Hence, MSMEs contribute a significant share to national incomes and is an important source of income and livelihoods for the working poor, women, youths, and groups in vulnerable situations. Despite small in business scales, collectively, MSMEs comprise the economic backbone of our communities. Most importantly, MSMEs contribute to achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals. They help reduce levels of poverty through job creation and economic growth, and they are indeed drivers of employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurship for women, youths, and groups in vulnerable situations. MSMEs are the majority of the world's food producers, as most of you are aware, and play a critical role in closing the gender gap as they support women's full and effective participation in the economy and in society at large. You will all agree with me that despite their significant contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals, in the past 2 years beyond the negative impact of the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, MSMEs, especially those owned by women and youths, have been significantly affected by a myriad of challenges. These challenges include the ongoing climate crisis, conflicts, economic shocks, and other uncertainties. Consequently, we are seeing high levels of extreme poverty, and this is disproportionately affecting the poor and vulnerable groups. This is a major drawback to the Leave No One Behind commitment, which forms the core challenges and principles of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Ladies and gentlemen, given the importance of MSMEs in achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations Secretary General, in his report on shared responsibility, global solidarity, and I quote, responding to the socio-economic impact of COVID-19, called for sustainable solutions to cope with the impact of COVID-19. And in his report, the SG called for scaling up our focus on the people, women, youths, low-wage workers, small and medium enterprises, the informal sector, and on vulnerable groups. The Secretary General emphasized the urgent need to support enterprises, particularly MSMEs. For this reason, strengthening MSMEs resilience in Zimbabwe is urgent and crucial to protecting jobs and livelihoods, particularly for women, youth, and groups in vulnerable situations whose livelihoods heavily depend on the MSME sector. It is vital for building forward better and keeping the momentum on the 2030 agenda for sustainable development and economic shocks and uncertainty that prevail our realities these days. I know this has been a very important occasion for colleagues present here today. But we in the United Nations strongly believe in collaborative partnerships to keep the momentum on the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, especially targeting those often left behind and hardest hit by a myriad of challenges. It is against this background that the United Nations in Zimbabwe and the government of Zimbabwe developed and signed the 2022 to 2026 Zimbabwe United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, which has 4 priority areas, namely people, planet, prosperity, and peace. All these pillars are interlinked and dependent on each other. The cooperation framework for prosperity pillar is aligned to the prosperity pillar of the 2030 agenda and the African Union Agenda 2063, while strengthening the National Development Strategy 1, aspirations for economic growth and stability and increasing resilience to macroeconomic shocks and stresses. Ladies and gentlemen, strengthening resilience to shocks and accelerating enterprise development through value chain development and MSMEs support is among other key priorities of the UN in Zimbabwe. I'm glad to note that the UN country team is already implementing interventions in partnership with the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community Small and Medium Enterprise Development, in strengthening resilience and promoting enterprise development. This support, as articulated in the cooperation framework, includes capacity building, along with policy, strategy, and frameworks formulation and implementation. We remain committed to continue working with the government of Zimbabwe to strengthen national capacities, to enhancing MSMEs resilience, and building forward better to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 agenda. I'm glad to note that Zimbabwe is among the 9 targeted countries: Cambodia, Ethiopia, the Gambia, Madagascar, Kenya, Laos, Sri Lanka, Philippines, and Zimbabwe, benefiting from the project on strengthening national capacities for enhancing MSMEs resilience and building forward better to accelerate implementation of the SDGs. This initiative is being supported by the UN Peace and Development Fund and the UN Development Account with the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs being the lead implementing entity. In order to deliver the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and fully understand the progress on the SDGs and the impact of our interventions and policies on the poorest and marginalized groups, member states should have robust monitoring and evaluation systems and frameworks to closely follow implementation of the SDGs. Development and implementation of robust M&E frameworks is one of the priorities of the project we are gathered here to launch today. I'm glad to note that UNDESA has already supported the Ministry of Women Affairs, Small and Medium Enterprise Development in formulating the MSME monitoring framework. The monitoring framework is of high priority for the government of Zimbabwe, and it's a crucial policy toolkit that provides real-time information on ongoing activities and also provide evidence-based policy-making process and expands MSME's contribution to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the National Development Strategy. Together, as the UN, we are committed to continuously strengthen the capacity of policymakers and MSMEs entrepreneurs in Zimbabwe, coordinating constructive dialogue and forging inclusive partnership to unlock the full strength of MSMEs for building forward better and stronger with shared prosperity and opportunities for all. In conclusion, I would like to congratulate the organizers of this workshop and hope you will have productive discussions that will contribute to the MSME sector, which is critical to inclusive and sustainable recovery in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and I wish you the best of luck in your deliberation today. Count on the United Nations for continued support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Resident Coordinator, for those remarks. May I invite Mr. Svanda from DESA to share some remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, colleagues. Mrs. Vaida Mashangwa, Director, Strategic Policy Planning and Monitoring Evaluation, who is representing Mr. Moses Mike, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community and Small and Medium Enterprises Development. Mr. Edward Kalon, the United Nations Resident Coordinator in Zimbabwe. Senior government officials, members of the UN country team present, representatives of the MSME sector in Zimbabwe, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to join you today at this national workshop to launch 2 United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs funded projects on strengthening national capacities for enhancing micro, small and medium-sized enterprise resilience and building forward better to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda in Zimbabwe. And the second one on strengthened resilience of MSMEs in Africa and Asia. First of all, please allow me to start by thanking the presence of senior officials from the government and the United Nations system in Zimbabwe. Your presence demonstrates the high level commitment to the critical issue of expanding contributions of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises to achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Zimbabwe, as well as Zimbabwe's national development aspirations as encapsulated in the National Development Strategy 1. To get back on track and recover from the social dislocations and economic contraction caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, it is imperative that countries focus on rebuilding better and stronger by pursuing policy choices that enhance sustained, inclusive, and equitable growth. These policies choices have to equally focus on micro, small, and medium enterprises. MSMEs play critical roles in the economic growth and structural transformation of Africa, including that of Zimbabwe. Representing the majority of business entities, they are engines of job growth. They are critical to empowering women and youth and to sustaining livelihoods, especially those for the poor and groups in vulnerable situations. Despite their important roles, micro, small, and medium enterprises are vulnerable to various shocks. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, micro, small, and medium enterprises, especially those owned by women, youth, persons with disabilities, and other groups in vulnerable situations, are often left with few avenues to access business development services, market opportunities, and financial resources. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated pre-existing challenges and further threatened to overwhelm MSMEs' scoping capacities through limited credit options, fewer cash reserves, interrupted supply chains, reduced demands, and delayed payments. Compared to large and formalized enterprises, MSMEs are less able to tap into emergency credit and economic stimulus programs launched to support business viability during crisis situations. In large measure, this is because many of them are not formally registered, hence they are not reflected in government rescue programs. It is therefore critical to ensure that sustained policy support is tailor-made and targets the diverse demands of the MSME sector. Such support will enhance MSME resilience, contributing to their pursuance of innovations, opportunities, and the transition to sustainable business models, including pursuing green growth opportunities. With MSMEs still reeling from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as rising inflation due to the conflict in the Ukraine, the workshop today gives us a timely opportunity to strategize by exploring evidence-based policy recommendations that are vital to enhance the coherence of MSMEs supporting policies and maximize the contribution of MSMEs to inclusive and sustainable recovery in Zimbabwe. At this moment, I would like to sincerely thank the support of the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community and MSME Development during the conceptualization of both MSME projects. We are therefore pleased to inform the Permanent Secretary and the government and the MSME stakeholders gathered here today that the project on strengthening national capacities for enhancing MSME resilience and building forward better to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda in developing countries has been approved by the United Nations Peace and Development Fund. The project will be implemented in Zimbabwe together with 8 other developing countries in Africa and Asia from 2022 to 2024. I would also like to announce that a second United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs project on strengthened resilience of MSMEs in Africa and Asia was also approved by the United Nations Development Account. The project will be implemented from 2022 to 2025 in 4 developing countries in Africa and Asia. Zimbabwe is a pilot country of this project as well. Both projects will complement each other and jointly contribute to building capacities of MSMEs and policymakers in Zimbabwe that is needed to strengthen MSME resilience and ensure that MSMEs in Zimbabwe both survive from the pandemic and thrive by better positioning themselves to capture high-value market opportunities. More importantly, these 2 projects will be implemented under the prosperity pillar of the Zimbabwe UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2022 to 2026, which will be ably led by our UN resident coordinator. Taking into account global and national sustainable development visions, including the Sustainable Development Goals, the African Union Agenda 2063, Zimbabwe's own Vision 2030, both projects are conceptualized through close consultations with government counterparts, the UN country team, and other relevant stakeholders. It is worth noting that both projects are built on the successful collaborations between the Division for Sustainable Development Goals of UNDESA, as well as the ministry and the Resident Coordinator's Office and the United Nations country team in Zimbabwe. Through this collaboration, our department has supported the ministry in formulating the Zimbabwe MSME monitoring framework that will strengthen informed policymaking processes and the effectiveness of MSME supporting policies. This is what we have been doing over the last 2 days, and we hope to conclude that process this week. To this end, I would like to underline the importance of this workshop, which is not only to launch the MSME projects, it also aims to facilitate inclusive stakeholder dialogue, exchange, and taking stock of good practices that contribute to MSME resilience, formalization, and growth. Key messages distilled from our discussions will be translated into concrete actions and inform the project work plans in Zimbabwe as we unlock the full potential of MSMEs going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to continuing our cooperation with the government and the people of Zimbabwe, as well as the Resident Coordinator's Office and the UN country team. It is imperative that we work together to enhance the resilience of MSMEs, as well as to fully leverage their potential for sustainable development if we are committed to rebuild better and stronger in this decade of action to deliver the SDGs. I thank you for your attention and I look forward to productive discussions at this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Okay, I'll not attempt to summarize what has been said, but what we have is the national context has been set for us. The support being provided by the UN has been outlined. We have been given some good news, and I'm sure we're looking forward to getting more details in terms of the projects. And to take us through that part, I'm going to invite Clark to share a presentation that shares more details on the projects. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Clark Liu from UNDESA. I work in the branch of Mr. Emerson Sibanda. And also thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for introducing the overview of this presentation. Basically, this presentation aims to present a few more details about these two projects. The two projects focus on one central theme, which is to strengthen the national capacities for enhancing MIC's resilience and building forward better to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Next slide, please. So this slide presents the key details that have already been mentioned by seniors during their opening remarks about the first project funded by the United Nations Peace and Development Fund. As is mentioned by the resident coordinator, the project covers 9 countries, 5 in Africa and 4 in Asia. It is also pointed out by Mr. Sibanda that the project will last from 2022 this year to 2024. And this project is funded by the development account. It will focus on 4 countries, 2 in Africa and 2 in Asia. The project duration of this one is a bit different from the previous one. The duration is from 2022 to 2025. I would also like to bring your attention to the link of the project webpage. Please feel free to visit the webpage of both projects. You can see the key results of both projects in all the countries. Next slide, please. This slide shows the location of the 9 countries. As you can see, in Africa, we have Zimbabwe, Kenya, Ethiopia, Madagascar, and the Gambia. And in Asia, we have Cambodia, the Lao PDR, the Philippines, and Sri Lanka. Next slide. Why we are doing this project, these projects? The reason we do this is because first, MICs, as over 90% of business entities globally, MICs contribute directly and indirectly to all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. And this slide also shows a few SDGs that MIC directly contribute to. The first one is no poverty. MIC comprise employment and critical livelihood resources, especially for the poor, women, youth, and group in vulnerable situations. So supporting MICs will support the livelihood and job of this group of people. It's quite important to achieve SDG 1 on no poverty. Also, MICs are the majority of the producers in the global food system. So supporting them will also contribute to the second SDG goal on no hunger. In addition, MICs, a lot of them are led by women and youth. So we support MICs. We are also supporting gender equality and women economic empowerment. In addition, MICs are the job engines, as are described in many documents around the world. So we support MICs. We are also supporting to create employment, but also decent job opportunities and inclusive economic growth that are the central piece of SDG 8. Moreover, MICs are agents and they are quite active in fostering low cost and fragile innovations that are important for our community development. In this way, supporting MICs will also address SDG 9 on industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Certainly, supporting MICs benefit groups in vulnerable situations and therefore also address reduced inequalities under SDG 10. In addition, MICs play an important role if you're thinking sustainable consumption, sustainable production, resource efficiency, and minimize waste. So supporting MICs is directly linked with SDG 12 on responsible consumption and production. More importantly, we see around the world, both among the developed countries and also developing countries, countries are going together to exchange good practices and join hands to support MICs, considering their critical and indispensable contributions to SDGs. In this way, we support MICs. We will also tackle the important goal of SDG 17, partners to achieve all goals. These are the basic rationale of why we do this project. And this slide shows the theory of change or the structure of both projects. To present you with more details, shall we go next slide, please? Yes, in this slide, it shows the first outcome of the projects. This outcome is the policy outcome, and it includes 3 interlinked outputs. The first output is to organize capacity building workshops, national expert group meetings, and contribute to policy guidelines, as well as strengthening conducive policy environment for MIC growth and resilience. So this responds to output 1, and our work to support the MIC monitoring framework in Zimbabwe is closely linked to this output. The second output is to facilitate 2 regional networks, both in Africa and in Asia, to exchange good practices of policymakers and MIC entrepreneurs on strengthening MIC resilience. So this output will entail the organization of study tours for policymakers, MIC entrepreneurs, and also key stakeholder groups to exchange good practices. So this comprises the second output under the first policy outcome. And third one is to organize international workshops at the margin of high-level political forum for sustainable development. We would like to bring colleagues from all the 9 pilot countries onto the important intergovernmental process. And we need your voice and support to highlight and strengthen the importance of MICs to achieving sustainable development goals at this important intergovernmental process. So this comprises the third output, policy outcome. That's a quick snapshot of the first outcome structure of this project. Second one, please. No, the previous one, okay. And here is the second outcome. So the second outcome is this project is called entrepreneurial outcome. So we address policy in the first outcome, and we continue to support entrepreneurs at a firm level directly in this outcome, second outcome. The first output is to conduct need assessment and organize trainings for MIC entrepreneurs. Such trainings, as well as all activities of our projects, are demand-driven. We will ensure our government counterparts, our stakeholders, our MIC entrepreneurs are in the driver's seat to express and let us know what are your demands, and your expressions, your insights will be quite important reference to guide us plan the project implementation, including plan the MIC entrepreneur trainings. That's the first output under the entrepreneur outcome. Moreover, the second output of this outcome is to work with national, sub-national, and community level experts to compile training materials that will address MSc entrepreneurs' demands in the long run. We don't want our trainings and our workshops to be on and off events. That's not our purpose. We are pursuing sustainability. We are pursuing sustained impact. So to achieve that, we will also deliver knowledge product, such as training materials, research papers, policy briefs from this output to pursue sustained impact. That's the second output of the second outcome on entrepreneurs. Finally, the third output of this outcome, we would like to work with you all, work with stakeholders from all countries to build a community of practice, to exchange good practices, identify what are the common challenges and what are the solutions in a demand-driven and in an inclusive manner. We'll also adopt the effective South-South, triangular, and also North-South cooperation models to facilitate global knowledge exchange on strengthening MSc resilience for sustainable development goals. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Yes. Our project is built on our previous activities. DESA started to work for MSCs, strengthening their capacity to achieve SDGs from 2017 to 2021. So throughout the past few years, we have provided support to formulating policies and mechanisms in 6 countries, in Cambodia, Kenya, Gambia, Laos, PDR, Philippines, and Sri Lanka. This slide shows the national and subnational policies and mechanisms our MSc work has contributed to. We have also organized about 20 capacity building and policy workshops at subnational, national, regional, and global levels, as well as 3 study tours. I'll provide more details in the next slide. And we have produced about 14 knowledge products addressing different aspects on expanding MSC's contributions to SDGs. And globally, we have mobilized about 12,000 participants. Next slide, please. Sorry, the previous one, yes. So here I just provide a few snapshots of our country-specific result chains, or how we achieve our impact in the past few years. For example, starting from Cambodia, the first national workshop of this project was launched in Cambodia in October 2018. And follow that, we organized a study tour for the government to enter to Singapore and Malaysia on the mechanism of simplified MSc registration. After the government officials come back from the study tour, they have decided to launch the national simplified MSc registration mechanism, where they have launched this policy. Is called the One Roof policy, where they have bring together relevant ministries, specifically Ministry of Industry, Finance, Commerce, Tax. They bring them together at a national level and a subnational level in one house. So MSc entrepreneurs can go there to register at one time across all these departments. It's quite time saving, it's quite, and also very simplified. Our work in Cambodia is recognized by the Secretary General's report on sustainable entrepreneurship for sustainable development in terms of placing MSCs better positioned in advance to the pandemic. Secondly, in the Gambia, our activities start with conducting an impact assessment about 500 informal MSCs, women and youth-owned MSCs in different sectors, poultry, cross-border trade, and also second-hand clothes. These findings have been informed to the policymaking process, supporting MSCs during the pandemic, and also supported the government to strengthen the National Policy Committee on MSCs, which is an intra-ministerial mechanism to coordinate whole government, to coordinate ministerial support in the whole government approach to MSCs. And also we organized together with the government, the high-level policy forum supporting MSCs, which was attended by the Vice President of the Gambia last year. And we are planning the same event this year. Thirdly, in Kenya, we chipped in by supporting the National Micro and Small Enterprise Authority Strategic Plan from 2020 to 2024, where we have marked out prioritized area for government to take note, such as supporting MSCs to join the Africa Continental Free Trade Area mechanism, and how to support MSCs to be more resilient to economic shocks. And following that, we organize another COVID impact assessment of MSCs, because the impact of the pandemic is huge on MSCs across the world. And following that, we are planning to organize entrepreneurial level skill trainings for MSC entrepreneurs. In the Philippines, we also chip in from a pandemic impact assessment, and this has led to key findings supporting the adoption of the National Creative Industry Development Act. So these are just some examples of the result chain and how we reached there in our past 4 years. And we are sure, together with you all, we will achieve the same and better success in Zimbabwe. Next one, please. So this is a list of the workshops we have organized, about these 20 workshops at different levels for your note. Next one. And this lists the knowledge products reports we have produced throughout the 4 years in supporting MSCs. The next one, please. I know considering the time limits, I would just like to stop with this slide. Please feel free, and we will be grateful if you could take some time to visit our project webpage. The link is here. You can see the results in more detail, all the results in more detail on this webpage. Finally, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark, for the presentation. A lot of information to absorb, but fortunately, Clark is here with us for the 3 days, so we'll have time to go into the details of some of the items that he has shared. To help us to keep with the time, I'd like to invite us to come to the front to take the opportunity of the presence of the high table to take a group photograph. And then after that, we'll break for tea. And after tea, we'll take you through the agenda, how we're going to link the different elements. So if we can all come to the front and come and try and fit into the photograph. Can we please try and be back at 10:30?